Hey fans, this is Pat Combs, former Phillies left-handed pitcher, and you're listening to Sports and Rants.
And we are back. This is Sports and Rants with Brett and Pant. I'm your host, Brett Suto, along with my co-host, Glenn Pantalone, and we are on live with a special guest today, former Redskin and Titan, two-time Pro Bowler, Albert Haynesworth. Albert, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time.
No problem.
So the football season has started. Have you been keeping up with it so far?
I watched a few games.
Any teams? Any teams stand out for you?
That's doing well. I mean, of course, the Patriots are doing well. Kind of shocking that the Colts were 0-2. That's very shocking to me. And now we should see that Seattle should turn it around now that our Chancellor's back. So other than that, about the same. The Titans are they won the first game, which is big. But I was kind of shocked that they lost to Cleveland. But let's see how they do this year.
As a former football player, how important is it to win that first game of the season?
I mean, it's not super important. I mean, it can carry and have some momentum, but to be honest, I want to say it was my first year. Yeah, my first year in the league. We won the first game, but lost the next four, and so we went 1-4, and we ended up going to the AFC Championship game. So it's not really how you start; it's how you finish. That's the most important thing with football.
During that year, what are some of the things that team went through that made the team come together into that championship team?
Well, we know he had a good team. We just, I don't know. I guess we were maybe exhausted in camp or something, because we would be winning the first half, and then just kind of like, kind of lose it at the end. To be honest, it's like we're super tired or something like that. So Jeff adjusted our practice schedule. We weren't running as much, and soon we started gelling as a defense, and we had a lot of athletes, a lot of stars on our team, and we finally turned it around, and we went on like a 10 out of 11 game run to get into the AFC Championship, or get into the playoffs, into the AFC Championship.
Here in Philadelphia, Chip Kelly runs a fast-paced offense. Is that a fast-paced offense as well as a practice? Would you enjoy that kind of practice? Do you think it's beneficial on game day?
Yeah, because it can wear out your opponents, and if you're running that type of practice, then your defense is going to be used to it. So when you go into like a Indy situation, that's what we used to call it, or our 2-minute offense, then you're not freaking out. You're not super tired or anything, because you're used to it. Actually, here in Tennessee at UT, that's the way they run their offense. They run a very fast-paced offense. As soon as the play is over, they line back up and get ready to run the next play.
Something that's interesting about you is, like you mentioned, you went to the University of Tennessee, and then you would be drafted to the Titans. Was there a certain comfort level for you going into training camp, knowing that you're already in Tennessee, you're already comfortable with the area?
Actually, it's like really two different cities, about 3 hours away. I didn't know anything about Nashville, never really been to Nashville, so it could have been another place, so it was completely different than everywhere else.
Walking into that locker room, your first season, seeing guys like Steve McNair and Eddie George, what was that like for you?
It was cool. Just seeing stars that when I was in college, seeing guys that were great, in the pros, and then actually be their teammates and stuff. It's pretty cool, and being teammate to Javon Curse, the Freak, Kevin Carter, Derek Mason, I mean, like all those type guys, of course, Steve and Eddie. I mean, that was pretty big time. That was big time.
Now, we hear a lot with, especially defensive players, that it's the system that makes them the player they are. Do you agree with that? And what influence did your defensive coaches have on you?
Yeah, it is a system that can make the player. There's not a lot of guys that have a ton of success outside of a whole new different system. So, I got to flourish in Tennessee's system for 7 years. And every year I got better. And then when I went to Washington, they completely changed what we were doing or what I was doing, which they said that they would, do the same thing that Tennessee did. So that's why I really struggled a lot in Washington. It kind of was humbling a little bit. I was thinking I was a great player, and can play football in anything, but honestly, it's really a system. Just like how you hear system quarterbacks, it's the same thing as for different players.
What led to all your success? It seems like you said each year you got better, eventually being a 2-time Pro Bowler in Tennessee. What led to just the success? Was it just knowing the quarterbacks better, understanding the game better?
Well, like our defensive coordinator was brilliant. Our defensive line coach was unbelievable and brilliant himself. They made the game simple. If you watch our last couple of years at Tennessee, we didn't blitz that much. So all you had to do is basically do your job. We didn't do a whole lot of stunts or anything. We lined up and played the game. So when you're lined up playing the game, and no matter what team you get, you're only going to get like 3 to 4 different blocks. So, I mean, it's very simple to know exactly what you're going to get. Like, as soon as they take a step or something like that, you're seeing exactly what you're going to get. But when you start throwing stunts and blitzes and, looping and all that stuff like that, it's completely different. So that multiplies what you got to think about and what you got to do. So making the game simple for a player makes them be able to move faster. When you start throwing a whole lot of stuff into it, then the players will normally slow down, especially on the defensive line, because you got to think about what he's got to do.
You excelled more so in the 4-3 than the 3-4. Would you say that the 4-3 is simpler than the 3-4? What about it made you excel so much in that with your skill set in the 4-3?
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not all the 3-4. You can still have an attacking defense in the 3-4, but at Washington, all they wanted you to do is sit back and hold blocks. Which is complete opposite of what I was good at.
One thing that we like to ask former NFL players is your thoughts on Roger Goodell and his whole handling of suspensions lately. It seems the NFL is getting a lot of criticism for that. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it needs to be given to somebody else because, to be honest, there's too many variations. Like, how does, last year, Ray Rice get 2 games, then, the video comes out, he gets, 10 games or whatever he got. But then another guy got accused of it, and he gets 4 games. I mean, it's just there's so many variations. You need to give it somebody if you're going to do this is this many games. By second time, this is this many games. Third time, you're out of the league. It needs to be a set rule where you don't have to guess or wonder what's going to happen.
Did you ever have any interactions with Roger? And what are your thoughts on him as the commissioner still?
I think he's I like him as a person. I just think he's really get it together with the suspension stuff. You know, I think he's all over the board with all that stuff.
Is it that
the same thing with with like Tom Brady? I mean, you look at all the stuff, he really had no right to do that, but he wanted to try to make a statement or something like that, which I think is ridiculous.
All right, Albert, going off that, you recently wrote an article in the Players Tribune. Just out of curiosity, what was running through your head when you wrote it? It's a very interesting piece.
No, just like I said, just if I can go back in time and give myself that letter, or for anybody else that would be in my situation to look at it and to think about it. Just because people are around you doesn't mean necessarily they're for you. They might be by your side, but don't mean you're on your side. So.
One other question we have for you is, we recently saw the giant contract that Ndamukong Suh signed, leaving his defense in Detroit. What are your thoughts on that? A lot of comparisons were made to you.
Well, I mean, I haven't really watched him play this year so far, but I mean, the money's always attractive, but you got to kind of think of what made you that dominant player in the league. So they're saying that you probably should have looked at it a little more about staying in Detroit or getting back with a coach that like Jim Schwartz of helping them stay that great player.
Was there one last question before we wrap up? Was there any one offensive lineman that really stood out to you as far as the hardest or to get past, to get to the quarterback?
There's a few. I mean, yeah, there's a few. I think probably one of the best offensive linemen. He got credit, but not like a lot of people didn't know. Was Jeff Saturday. I think he was an excellent center. I think he was. I think he is or was the Peyton Manning of the offensive line. Over the whole league. Probably the best center they played against. Chester Pitts was an awesome guard who didn't get a whole lot of credit, and we had a lot of battles together. So those are great players, and then also Nick's from the New Orleans Saints, the Saints.
All right, Albert, before we let you go, one last question. For our listeners, could you just tell us what you're doing today and what you've been doing since retirement?
Well, right now, me and my girl and my son are eating at Waffle House. But I own a couple of restaurants called BurgerFi. It's a franchise that's based out of Florida. That's mostly what I'm doing now. I have one in Knoxville, right here on UT campus, and then I have another one in Nashville. So that's what I'm really working on right now, trying to get those really going and be successful.
Well, Albert, we thank you for joining us. We really appreciated your time and looking back on your career.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is Brett Suter from the hit sports show Sports and Rants with Brett and Pants. Listen to us live every Friday from 12 to 2 to hear some tremendous interviews such as Troy Vincent, Billy Cunningham, Keith Jones, Frank Coonelly, and DeAndre Bembry. Follow us on Twitter at Sports and Rants and like us on Facebook, Sports and Rants with Brett and Pants. Check us out today.